gorgeous humanoids. So good to be chatting with you once again. As always, I'm Riley, and this is Sex with Everyone. And I really am having the best time of my life right now, and I hope you can say the same. So today I'm interviewing Curious in Reno, Nevada. And Curious is a pretty spectacular human. We met on a van life Facebook group at the beginning of my van life journeys, and they were also at the beginning or middle of theirs. So we ended up bonding and chatted for, I don't know, I want to say 8 months or something, and then actually met for the very first time when we were going to Burning Man together last year. So they're a pretty special human for me in my heart, and I'm really excited for you to listen in. They talk all about how they only recently in the last couple years came out as queer, both queer sexuality, queer gender, just queer. And they're just enjoying exploring that. They came out in their late 30s to their wife, and they talk at length about how that affected their marriage and where they're at now. Also, as a quick aside, I do have a Patreon if you feel so inclined to support me and this project in any way. There's a ton of bonus content there. If you want to hear more about my travels around the country, around the world, I post pictures and blog posts about the things that I'm doing in each space and what I'm enjoying about traveling so much. So if you're interested to see more of my travels and day-to-day life outside of the podcast and what I'm kind of doing between every episode, you can get onto patreon.com/sexwitheveryone and check everything out there and see if there's anything that tickles your fancy. But without further ado, please join me as I talk about sex with Curious. I'm so excited that you're joining me today.
Thanks, me too.
I'm glad that you agreed to do this.
Yeah.
So we just got back from Burning Man.
Sure did.
And are fucking exhausted.
Sure are.
But man, what a whirlwind.
Yeah, that was an intense 11 days out on Playa.
Holy smokes, yes. And I know it was particularly intense for you being camped near your ex-wife.
Yep. I had a lot of apprehension and a lot of fear and a lot of bitterness and a lot of anger coming into this burn, but also a lot of excitement and joy. And yeah, I just had no idea how this burn was going to go. This is my first burn after coming out. So I was looking forward to exploring that some.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it took some good talks from very good friends that kind of I needed to hear, even though I know it was hard for them to say, about that fear and that anger and that bitterness that I was still holding on to just wasn't me. And so, yeah, the day she showed up, I was completely disarmed. I went and gave her a hug and we chatted for a little bit, and I told her I'd like to have a conversation with her and just kind of catch up and clear the air. And we did, like, within a day of the event week, and it just disarmed me. It cleared the air. All the negative energy just dissipated.
Yeah, right.
Almost immediately. And that was so hard to do.
Yeah.
God, that was confronting a big fear monster.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it feels easier in some ways to stay angry. You want to hold on to it.
Right.
I don't know why.
Yeah. It does make it harder for me. It's not easy to hold on to fear and anger and bitterness.
But somehow it feels safe.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. And how long ago was it that y'all's divorce happened?
So it was October of last year when she told me she wanted a divorce. We lived together, cohabitated in our condo for 3 months while I built out my van. And I left DC on Christmas Day, which was very hard and probably very stupid of me to do so. And then, I think the divorce was finalized over Zoom in April.
Yeah, right. So it's been less than a year.
Less than a year. And that was like the last time I had seen her on a screen.
Wow.
Or anything. Yeah, the last time I saw her in person was when she left for Arizona a couple days before Christmas.
I'm so impressed that you were able to have this clearing the air with her and being able to let go of a lot of things that you were holding on to so quickly. I mean, that seems really fast.
I did a lot of processing after Christmas, and I was in my van by myself for 5 months, essentially. A lot of processing, a lot of talks with the universe. And that's kind of what it boiled down to after talking with friends that, okay, so she's camping in the AZ. I can see that as a selfish move, or I could see that as, okay, the universe is bringing us together for a reason.
Yeah.
And that's what it was.
Yeah. And I take it you're hopeful that you guys can remain friends.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She's already texted me because she didn't have a chance to say bye before she left on Sunday. Nice. And so she texted me and she was like, I really want to say that this was a great week. It was good to see you and good to catch up with you.
That's so nice.
And hopefully stay in contact with her going forward.
Yeah.
And I think I will. Like I'm friends with most of my exes.
Yeah.
There's no reason we shouldn't be.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that for someone that you dedicated your life to for a period of time, like, why wouldn't you want to retain that person in your life? Like, obviously they're good people if you chose them.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our time together was over, and that's okay.
Well, it's not over. It's just evolved.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. It's over for a romantic relationship in the marriage that we had. It was 6 great, wonderful years and kind of a half a year of some figuring out that and some ambiguity that ending up in the divorce.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
What led to the divorce, if you don't mind me asking?
In part, my queerness. So that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, was come out to her. And her initial reaction was, duh. But then her second response was, so I guess you want to explore this and we have to talk about opening up the relationship.
Yeah.
And we did. And it was hard, but it was worth it. And I think in the end, what she told me in sort of like the counseling session when she told me she wanted a divorce was just the love for me. The amount of love didn't change. It just changed buckets, essentially, from this romantic sexual partner to friend, soulmate, confidant, that kind of thing. And I think it was not necessarily my queerness, but as I was exploring that, I was also exploring my gender identity and my gender queerness. And I realized I am pretty gender queer as well.
Yeah.
And she is a cis-het woman attracted to cis-het men.
Yeah.
And I didn't fit that mold anymore.
Yeah. How was that for you to hear and process and go through?
Very hard. That just felt like a rejection of who I am, because I didn't feel like I was still me. So I thought, I didn't think I had changed that much, but apparently I did in her eyes.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And how has it been exploring your queerness since you've come out? You came out last year, right?
I came out in October of 2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And which was kind of funny because, like, the day we decided we were ready to start dating other people was lockdown of the pandemic. And so the world had other plans for us. They're like, nope, you're not ready yet.
Yeah.
But since then, it's been validating, confirming, wonderful, joyous. Like, I feel like my most authentic self that I ever have in my life. And it's a wonderful feeling.
That's so good. I love that. I love that for you.
Yeah.
Is there anything like in particular that you're most excited to be exploring like next? What are you looking forward to next in your like queer?
I want
everything?
to explore my sexual boundaries.
What does that mean?
So in the past, I present myself as a kinky individual or open to exploration, but I keep settling for partners who don't want to do that with me. And so it's been very tough to bring that up because I still have a lot of shame around some of my sexual proclivities. I think since I've come out, I'm beginning to shed that shame and just be like, this is how I am now. This is what I'm into. Are you into that? Cool. Let's play. And so it's been interesting in that way. But I'm also still kind of like hesitant and scared and fearful to explore and to ask for what I want. That's the hardest part in this whole thing, is like asking for what I want and what I need.
Yeah.
And I've started to find my voice, and it feels really good.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you've noticed any large differences from dating women to now exploring dating men or trans beauties or whatever. Like, is there a difference in the dating style or things that you're noticing in your experiences with that?
I don't know if it's necessarily like the gender of the people I'm dating, but I think it's more so this sort of mindset within like a relationship anarchy sort of way. It's like I'm allowing how I relate to people and how they relate to me to just kind of organically happen. I'm not searching for a primary partner anymore like I have in the past. And so I think it's a lot more open, and I can talk more freely about sexual activity or history or whatever in a more open and curious sort of way with people that I'm interested in. And I'm also getting to the point where I can, after, a month or two or whatever of talking, it's just like, okay, I know there's nothing there in this sort of realm, this sexual realm, but they're good friends and I want to keep them around, or, something like that.
Yeah. And are you still exploring being polyamorous? And because I know that was like you and your ex-wife opened up for your queerness, but now that you're single, are you still exploring poly?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, cool.
Dating a few people right now.
Yeah.
Just kind of, again, allowing sort of the connection to happen or progress or escalate organically and kind of go from there, and just keeping the lines of communication open. That's what, like, the number one thing I learned through opening up with a longtime primary monogamous partner was we had to communicate. We have to check in with each other. And ultimately, I think part of this, there was some lack of communication, maybe on both of our parts, but from my end, certainly on her end, that she wasn't telling me that something was going on. Because like in the end, she told me that she had been feeling this way for a while, but she couldn't put her finger on it. She couldn't name it. And that's why it took her so long to figure it out. And so quickly after initially telling me that something was wrong. Because we went from, I didn't know anything was wrong, to I want a divorce in a month.
Yeah.
And that was hard.
Yeah.
That was real hard.
Yeah. So communication is pretty
key.
Important.
It's very important to me now.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it interesting, like, you're going from opening up and being poly before with a partner, but now you're kind of solo poly?
Yeah.
What's that experience been like for you?
It's been good because I'm doing things for me now. I'm not necessarily like worried about the other person or if they're going to like me or, say the right things or whatever. But no, I'm just living my truth, so to speak, as cliche as that sounds. And if people are into it, they're into it. If they're not, okay, we can still be friends. It's not like we have to be partners.
Yeah.
In that regard.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the exploration. I'm curious about a lot of things. So yeah, it's been fun.
And I know you mentioned you lived in your van for 5 months.
at the beginning of the year going from DC to Portland. And now you've settled in Portland, but I'm curious what your experience was with your sexuality and dating and whatever while being on the road and being so transient.
I mean, I tried to get on apps. I, would go to a bar here and there to kind of just meet some people just for some social aspects of it. But I really wasn't looking to date or explore in that way. I was just like, no, I have a lot of processing to do. And I surrounded myself in nature and went to a few national parks, and I skied and I visited friends along the way. It seemed like I knew somebody in a city within a day or two's drive, all stops along the way. So it was just nice reconnecting with old friends, and then myself. I wasn't looking for any sort of external validation or dating or play or romantic, activity or anything like that. It was just, no, I've got a lot of healing to do.
Yeah.
I need to be myself before I can be for somebody else.
Yeah. And how's it been now that you have kind of landed in Portland?
It's been fun. I feel like I have kind of grown into who I am a little bit more. I know what I'm kind of seeking out, and landing in Portland for a regional burn. And it was the first weekend I was in Portland. I went to a regional burn, and that was probably the best way to land, because it was like I joined a camp of about 50 people, and it was like instant friend group.
Fuck yeah.
And just being amongst all the other Portland weirdos and burners. And it was a wonderful landing. Yeah. And I got super excited about Portland. And since then, I have been getting into all the bike rides that Portland does during the summer, and getting on some of the apps a little bit more and putting a little bit more effort into like talking with people and meeting up and going on dates, and just kind of figuring out what I want.
Yeah. We talked about this yesterday. I have little to basically none experience with dating apps or websites or any of that. So I would love to hear what your experience is with being on dating apps and sites, and like what you get out of it and how effective they are. I don't know. Just tell me about your experience and like why you choose to be on them.
So I've been on dating apps for probably 20 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you've really seen them like evolve quite a bit.
Absolutely.
Hey. Yeah.
I loved OkCupid back in the day. It has changed to be more swipe based, like Tinder, when Tinder came about, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I enjoyed like just searching for a certain criteria, and you get just like a heads up display of here's all the people that match that. You don't have to swipe and cycle through people to get to the next person.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And so, but nowadays it's all about the swiping. I get it. I still like OkCupid because it's more long form, and you can kind of see people's personality coming out in their writing. I put a lot of care and attention into my profile, so to hope in hopes that my personality comes through. And I've had good luck. I met my first wife on Match.com. I met my second wife on OkCupid. I've had other long-term girlfriends that I've met through OkCupid.
Yeah, right.
Dating a guy right now that I met on OkCupid, and a trans woman that I met on Tinder. And then like another woman that I'm currently in chats with that I met on Field.
Yeah.
But also like that was like the connector, even though I met her at the regional, and then I saw her again at one of the bike rides, and then we connected on Field. I'm like, okay, we're in the same sphere. We need to chat.
So you really, I mean, obviously you've had a lot of luck with them.
I've had a lot of bad luck too.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It's a numbers game. You just have to keep at it and try not to get discouraged, because people ghost, and that's just part of the game.
Yeah.
I try not to ghost. I try to be upfront with somebody. If I'm not feeling it anymore, I'll let them know, because I think it's the right thing to do. I hate being ghosted, so I don't want to put anybody else through that.
Yeah. And this is just my ignorance showing, but like, does you being on these apps and like always swiping or whatever. Does that mean that you're like always on the prowl? Like, are you always like kind of looking for a partner or a date or a fuck buddy or whatever it is that you're looking for within that? You know, you're always kind of searching.
Yeah, in a way. I try to be intentional and mindful about how often I get on there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not like a daily thing.
No, not anymore. It was like kind of when I first landed in Portland. And like it was also kind of a mindless activity when I was on the road too. I liked going into a new city and checking out the talent, so to speak. Yeah, seeing who's available and like knowing that pretty much nobody's going to respond back within a day or like want to hook up with a guy who's living in a van.
Right. Fair.
Yeah. No, you don't really see too many people that want to date a dirtbag.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Hashtag vanlife has made it new and shiny.
That's true. I wish there was a vanlife app.
I think they're working on it.
Really?
I could have sworn that I had seen some chatter about someone trying to make that be a thing.
Yeah.
For us transients.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, and even like the van life singles Facebook group that you and I met on, like I would get in a new city and I'd post where I am and if anybody wanted to meet up and I would get crickets.
You never had anybody.
Nobody took me up
I'm
on that.
so surprised. Yeah. That's really interesting. Because I would see a lot of people doing exactly that, and there would be like fucking 50 comments on some of them, you know?
Yeah.
Weird.
I don't know.
It
wasn't people's cup of tea, I guess. I don't know.
Or they weren't where you were. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there were definitely people in the area. It was just like, I was in places, you know, once I got further out west, you know, in Colorado and Utah and Nevada and those places, I know there were people around. But then, because I just never had any luck with it, I just stopped posting on the singles group, on the Facebook group.
Yeah, fair enough. I ultimately left that one as well.
Did you?
Yeah. I mean, it was a nice place to just like meet other like-minded folks. It wasn't about like it being like a singles group. It was just like other real people doing what I'm doing
the same thing.
Yeah.
And like, it's so funny to see how differently people do it.
Yeah. Some people were very intentional with like looking for a partner to join them on the road forever, you know, and like, man, seeing some of the posts that, I mean, I was just like, you're not gonna catch anyone with
some thirsty
with a
people.
2-sentence and no picture. Like, like the ones that I would see would just kind of blow my mind, honestly. And I actually went out of my way sometimes to like comment and be like, hey, I recommend talking about yourself and what you're into and maybe post a picture, you know, like trying to help these guys along, you know?
Yeah.
I believe in you, buddy.
Well, and I wonder too, if like sometimes I think a lot of some people in the van life situation are just like maybe are a little socially awkward.
Sure. Yeah, of
but
course.
Obviously we all are coming out of a pandemic. To an extent.
Real facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that for you, like going through the pandemic with your partner? I mean, I know that you guys ultimately got divorced and everything, but before she came out saying that that's what she wanted, I mean, that was a year and a half or whatever of pandemic times. How was that?
It was actually pretty good for us.
Yeah.
I've been remote work for a decade, or longer, but I'm a coffee shop worker. I have to go to a coffee shop in the morning and then I'd come home for lunch and maybe finish out my day at home or go to another coffee shop. I had to learn how to work from home solely with her there now working from home too. And so early in the pandemic, we had to get really good about sharing space, not bothering each other when we're both working, but also just like nip things in the bud if there was a disagreement or an argument of just like, oh shit, no, I'm sorry. Like that's my bad. And that was kind of where we built such good communication along the way for opening up. We could say uncomfortable things or have hard talks with each other of just like, I don't really like this behavior that you're doing. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Sometimes we each got defensive with each other, but for the most
that's
part,
natural,
that's natural. Yeah. But for the most part, we were just like, okay, yeah, I hear you. I see you.
Yeah.
I can work on that.
And how did your like sex life change at all? Always being together that way? And going through like crazy stress?
Not really.
Yeah.
At least from my end, not really. it was kind of nice having her around sometimes for like a quickie at lunch or in the afternoon. It was just like, I'd message her on GChat, even though I'm in the next room over, and I'd be like, coffee or sex? Question mark. And she'd be like, sex, get in here.
Nice.
Yeah. Those are few and far between, but they did happen, and it was fun. And it was nice when it did happen.
Yeah. So I know you're from Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about Oklahoma. I don't know anything about Oklahoma. Like, tell me about what it was like to grow up there, but also like what like the general vibe is around like learning your sexuality in that space.
Oklahoma is, well, and where I grew up in very rural Oklahoma, it was very close-minded. It was very like, I came in the 5th grade and I was treated as an outsider because I was new. And I eventually like made my good friends, but it was hard because there was just so much religious undertones to everything.
Which religion?
First Baptist, mostly, but like there was a little bit of everything. And I went to all the little churches too, just because like I grew up Catholic and I knew I didn't want to do that forever. So I started trying all the other things too. And then it was just like, eventually it was like, none of this is for me. And back then, like, I went to a high school of 200 kids. That was 7 through 12. I graduated in a class of 40, and that was a big class. We had no black people, no gay people. There was just not a whole lot of representation anywhere. So I didn't know anything about my sexuality back then. And I couldn't wait to get the hell out. As soon as I graduated college, I went to a 4-year state school. Met my eventual first wife there. She was getting her MBA. She was starting her MBA as I was finishing up my undergrad. We got married and we moved to Chicago almost immediately as soon as she graduated with her MBA. So yeah, like I love my family still there, but I don't like going back. It's a weird state. I think it's getting better, but I can't shake my bias.
Yeah, of course.
It's hard.
Yeah. Do you think with that religious overtones and lack of diversity and stuff is why it took you so long to realize your queerness?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
In your late 30s when you came out?
39.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like looking back on it now, the signs were always there.
Sure.
So I was babysitting for one of my mom's friends, and I found her Playgirl magazine.
Yeah.
I was like 13 or 14 or 15 or whatever. And I'm just like, okay, that's kind of hot. Like I could look at naked men and it wasn't weird. I mean, it was kind of weird because like, again, just that.
You probably knew you shouldn't.
I knew it. Yeah. Like that inherent homophobia of like, oh, what does this mean? This is bad, but I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah, there were just kind of instances like that. And then like jokingly, my list of free passes included men, like celebrity men like The Rock and Justin Timberlake and Ryan Reynolds. But it also included women too.
Yeah. Because you're hilarious.
Yeah.
Coming out in your late 30s, what has that been like for you? Do you feel like you're behind or anything? Or are you just excited to be here and you're just rolling with it and, discovering the spaces and the people and yourself?
Yeah, I'm excited. It feels like I'm a teenager again. Like
that's not so bad.
The first few boys I messed around with, it was just like, oh my God, like I feel like I'm in high school. Like I gave my first blowjob in this guy's truck, like in a dark parking lot.
Hot?
Yeah.
That is so high school.
Yeah, it was so high school. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Just kind of, not necessarily like sneaking around, but kind of sneaking around a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he was married too, and he was newly out as queer or bisexual.
Yeah.
And so, like, we explored with each other. It was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what's it like finding partners and just being like, hey, I realized this about myself recently. Do you feel like any judgment or anything like question marks or anything in your experience with that?
Not necessarily. I'm pretty upfront with people that
Yeah.
I'm new and sexually inexperienced with anybody other than cis women.
Yeah. Do you get any backlash for that though?
Not a whole lot.
Okay, great.
No, yeah.
Awesome.
Everybody has been pretty accepting and open, and if they're not, fuck them.
Yeah, for real.
Like I'm getting to the point where it's just like, okay, you don't serve me anymore. Like that, I can say no.
Yeah.
And just kind of flick them to the side.
Tell me something I don't know.
Tell you something you don't know. You know a lot. You were there for me during my van life trip when a lot of people weren't. And so, yeah, it was nice. It was nice getting to know you in that way.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it was good. Like, I don't know. I still find it fucking hilarious that meet a man online and decide after, how long were we talking? 8 months or
8
something?
months, yeah.
We decided to do a 2-week vacation together for the first time that we
Burning
meet.
Man.
to the hardest conditions you can possibly fucking survive in.
Could have gone very poorly.
Could have gone very, very poorly.
But I knew it wouldn't. Yeah.
I wasn't worried.
Yeah, I wasn't either.
You mentioned before that you were interested in exploring kink. You know, have you explored anything already, or is there anything that you're excited to explore next?
I want to explore kind of some dom sub play as a sub.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I've always known that I'm pretty subby when it comes to that, but I don't know. I guess I just don't have the language or the knowledge of like, okay, how do I find a dom to play with? How do I trust somebody enough to like get into some scenes? And I'm not even sure like what scenes I would want to get into. I'm very, again, my namesake, I'm curious. I'm curious about a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'd like somebody to kind of take the lead and then kind of roll with it and see how I feel. But it's hard. It's hard for me to ask for certain things because like I'm open to anything really. So so
it's not that you're like fearful or ashamed to ask for the things that you want. It's that you just don't know what you want.
I just don't know how to start or where to start because like I said, like I will try anything.
Yeah.
I'll try anything once or twice.
Are you looking for a pro dom or just a play partner that tops you?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to try both.
Yeah.
I've never had a partner that has wanted to be in that sort of role. So ultimately, I'd like to find somebody that wants to step into that role and we can explore together, or somebody who has experience topping or doming in that way. And yeah, just kind of feeding off that energy and like what they're into. I would love to be a sub in that space and just try it out. And
also like paying somebody to do like sessions with.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that so far or that much.
Yeah. Because that is a way of discovering more.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And
maybe
it is
like
a more
a
directed
good fit or whatever.
Maybe it is a more directed way to do that.
Yeah. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, that's true. Sex work is work.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a form of therapy.
Oh, it can be, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. BDSM can be very cathartic.
Yeah. I wanna explore that and get into subspace and get into that headspace.
Yeah. Well, I do recommend getting on FetLife. I know that you said that you have an account already, but definitely explore it. I mean, look for the munches and the events.
Mm-hmm.
Find your local dungeon, go to their parties. You don't have to necessarily have any pressure. You don't have to play in those spaces, but you can go and meet people and watch and see what is titillating, you know? And like what piques your interest when you see someone getting whipped or spanked or fucked or whatever, right? And be like, ooh, that looks like a lot of fun, or holy shit, that looks terrifying, or, you know, I have no interest in that, or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the few times like at Burning Man or the regional, there like be paddling stations or things like that. And like, I'm into that.
Yeah.
I know I'm into that. So, impact play kind of intrigues me as well.
Mm-hmm. Good. So you do have a direction.
Yeah.
To start.
I guess so.
Yeah. Good. That's great. And there's also tons of different books and stuff that you can also read. I don't know if you're much of like a big reader or not, but there's always the new topping book and the new bottoming book are excellent places to
I've
start.
Heard of those
excellent places to start. And then that can just kind of get the brain juices going, you know, before, you know, trying to find a person, because I'm a switch, and so I top and bottom, but like it's very hard to negotiate a scene with someone who doesn't know what they want, and that can be a red flag for some people.
Sure.
Because if you don't know your boundaries, or you don't know your limits, your hard limits or your soft limits or whatever, that can be kind of scary or difficult for the top, because how can they know?
They can't feel safe.
Yeah.
In topping you. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so it's like doing some sort of research first, especially, you know, since you don't have a partner to kind of slowly explore with yet, may be the best place to start, just to get some language and some idea of what you want to explore. Yeah. You know, instead of just being like, do whatever you want.
Right. No, and like I have a feeling like once I like meet a dom or meet somebody that's into it, like okay, just a lot of communication before anything ever happens. Like
of course.
Once we start talking about it, I'm sure I'm going to know what I want and can advocate for, okay, these are my limits for this scene. Yeah. You know, those might change.
Right.
But yeah.
And then you can explore that in the second scene.
And then I can explore that in the second scene.
Yeah. Exactly.
Subsequent scenes.
Yeah. But yeah, munches are a great place to just meet people without like...
And maybe that's what my initial hesitation is just how to start.
Yeah.
How to go about meeting somebody that would be into that.
Yeah. Like I said, munches, which you can find on FetLife, whatever is happening in your local area, and or just showing up to the play parties at your local dungeon and just being there to watch and meet people. Yeah. You know? Don't interrupt any scenes. You know, don't go into the spaces as people are scening, but people are always milling about and watching. And
oh, really?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. It's not 100% people playing 100% of the time. That's not how those spaces are. Okay. Like, there's stations where you can, you know, furniture or beds or whatever, but there's more people than there are stations, right? Yeah. So people are often, you know, just watching or enjoying the space and stuff.
I'm afraid of being like the creepy single guy in the corner watching.
Sure.
And I don't want that.
No, of course. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how all dungeons are, but you may pay a premium for going single.
As a single man.
That may be a thing. But regardless, in my experience, it's all about the energy and vibe that you bring to it. Yeah. That kind of determines if you're a creepy dude or not.
Be curious, right? Not creepy.
Right, exactly. That's exactly right. And be conversational and be interested. Yeah. Be interested. That is 100% it, you know? And if you're just like sticking to a corner and watching out of a corner and masturbating, then guess what? You're going to be kind of creepy to a lot of people. And we all have seen that guy at dungeons.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. They're, you know, yeah, right.
Not really.
But, you know, and, you know, he's doing his own thing and whatever, that's fine. I'm not interested in participating in that, right?
Right.
But if you just are very approachable and very interested and very casual and, you know, you have the right energy, it's hard to explain, but like, that goes a long way.
Okay.
Just in general, not just in dungeons and stuff, but like me as a woman saying that for any guy ever that I interact with, you know, momentarily or long term, that is the difference between creepy and not.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and also I think you have some distinct advantages of being queer, because at least I'm incredibly biased because I'm queer, but other queer folks don't creep me out.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Just straight up. Yeah. just pretty much straight up. Almost 100% of the time, like I am very rarely creeped out by another queer person because it's like I feel that like identity and that connection, and that they're just doing themselves, you know, and oftentimes they're not so single-minded.
Yeah.
That I experience from creepy dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wear your teal lightning bolt glow in the dark earrings.
Okay.
And be fabulous.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah, that's been hard making that sort of transition, because I still I move through straight spaces and can present as a straight man sometimes, and I know how that can be perceived, and I'm working on that.
Yeah.
And again, because because of the whole, now that I'm divorced and I can fully express myself and explore my gender, and I'm getting into more queer clothing and expressions, and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I like being queer in straight spaces now.
Yeah? Oh, why is that?
I don't know. It just, I have a sort of newfound confidence in my queerness that I've discovered recently. I think being in Portland helps, where everybody, it seems, is kind of queer. Or they're just weird, and I'm into that too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think since I've landed in Portland, I've really sort of blossomed into, this queer human.
And what does that look like? You mentioned the way you dress and everything. Like, give me some examples of what that means.
I shop in predominantly like thrift store women's sections now.
Oh, okay.
Just the patterns and colors and fits and cuts are just more fun than cishet guys' clothing.
Yeah.
They're so boring. I like my pants tight and my shorts short and my dresses, and I'm just having some fun with it and seeing what fits and what doesn't. And so far, everybody that I've met has just been open and caring and accepting. And it's nice coming into a space where, like, I didn't know anybody in Portland when I landed, and now I can be me. And the people that I'm meeting are just like, fuck yeah, you're awesome. I don't know. I've never really had people tell me that before.
Aw. Yeah. I will say you are definitely one of the most colorful people I think I know, like with the way you dress, and even all of your tattoos are colorful tattoos, but like you just, all of your patterns and colors and mixing and matching absolutely everything, and somehow it works for you. I don't understand. But it's great.
Yeah. My Burning Man closet is quickly fusing now with my normal everyday clothing, and I'm so into it.
Is there anything at Burning Man that you did this year that was just particularly excellent, that, for whatever it was, for your sexuality, for the way you dress, for your queerness? Because Burning Man kind of like, it's a safe space to allow exploration. Right? So is there anything that you did this year, your first Burning Man since coming out, that you were super stoked about?
I was a lot more naked this year than I have been in previous years. I did the gay naked bike ride and pub crawl with a gay friend of mine.
Oh, fun.
That was so much fun.
Tell me about that more, please.
I was uncomfortable at first, and a friend was saying, he was like, we all feel this way. Like,
what way?
Just uncomfortable when you get into like in kind of some gay spaces, like everybody's checking each other out. Everybody's sort of seeing what the vibe is. Nobody feels good enough. In like, okay, am I gay enough? Am I queer enough? That kind of thing. There's a lot of self-doubt. He said there's a lot of just fake it till you make it. Alcohol is a very good social lubricant. So like, as we started drinking, like we all started making out a little bit more and, going down on each other a little bit more. And it was good.
So the gay naked bike ride turned into a gay naked touchy-feely love fest.
Yeah, and had we gone to the after party, there was a big gay orgy.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah. We didn't go.
Yeah. Why not?
One, I was disgusting because it was Burning Man.
Oh yeah, real gross.
Yeah, yeah.
All the dust.
I think I just kind of exchanged a couple hand jobs and some makeouts, but there were plenty of blowjobs and fucking going around in corners and spaces and tents.
And how was it, like, being there, like, amongst it, seeing it, being a part of it?
I'm into it.
Yeah.
Like,
fuck
yeah. So this friend introduced me to, when I was still in DC, that's where I know him from. He introduced me to this group of gay men, queer men, who do like naked cocktail parties. And so he took me to my first one, and it was just like 40 naked guys in a DC condo. And, I didn't know it was going to be a naked party until like a couple days before. I'm like, bruh, yeah, we need to talk about some things. And so we had dinner beforehand, and I'm like, okay, give me the rundown. Like, we just show up and we take our clothes off. And he's like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, does it turn sexual? And he was like, knowing the host? Yeah, it probably will.
Yeah.
poppers helps, alcohol helps. Made out with a lot of guys that night and blew a few guys, and I got blown by a few guys, and it was great.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think I would go that far in that space. So, like, since it was my first time, but I don't know. I'm comfortable being naked. I'm comfortable being around other people who are naked. The vibe was there, so I went for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How fun.
Right.
I love knowing that those kinds of shindigs exist everywhere.
I'm looking for that in Portland.
Yeah.
And
they exist.
I'm sure they exist. If they don't, I'm going to start something.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Once your amazing apartment is finished.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Your condo is so good. It's the most colorful, ridiculous thing.
Soon. Yeah. One space is mostly set up.
Yeah.
I'm itching to get back to Portland and create that space. Create the other spaces.
The rainbow disco room?
Disco rainforest.
Disco, yeah, there it is. Oh, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Have you had sex with a guy yet?
I have not had penetrative sex with a man.
No?
Yeah.
Why not? It seems like you've had plenty of opportunities.
I have. I don't want it to be a random hookup. I'm kind of old school in that sort of heteronormative sort of way of just like, I want it to be special.
Yeah.
I want it to be cared for. I want to feel safe.
Yeah.
And getting on Grindr or Sniffies or Recon or any of the others, like, I don't know. It just seems like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, sort of.
Yeah.
But I know that's not. Like, I've chatted with a few people on there, and I think some people are like that, but I don't think not everybody is.
I mean, just like Tinder, right?
Yeah.
Like some people are there for partners and some people are there for one night stands. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll see someday. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I've got toys, so I know what it feels like, but
yeah.
I'm sure it's not the same as a real penis.
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Can confirm.
Yeah. So looking forward to it when it does happen, and it'll happen when it happens.
Yeah,
I'm
of course.
In any sort of rush.
Yeah.
But I do want it to happen.
Well, high five.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being awesome. And thank you for sitting in this random ass park chatting with me today.
Thanks for wanting to chat with me.
Always. Always.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Until next time.
Excellent.
Isn't Curious just a delight? They always make my heart so happy. It wasn't until I was editing this episode that it occurred to me that this episode and the previous episode with Mel had somewhat similar stories of how them coming out as queer to their spouses ultimately led to them getting divorced and their partners not being able or willing to fully accept them in that way, and how they both independently kind of had to deal with that rejection from someone that they were in love with and wanted to spend the rest of their lives with. So it's unfortunately a somewhat common story that queer people kind of have to go through. But in both cases, I hope the real message at the end of the day is that they couldn't be happier and they are living their most authentic, beautiful lives, being 100% them to themselves and to everyone around them. And they are better people for it. I mean, I hope you can tell just how on top of the world they are. It was also cool talking with Curious about their interest in kink, and they're at this really interesting place where they know they want to explore it, but have not really had the opportunity yet. And so it was just really nice to hear of someone kind of on that precipice and just being totally unsure of where to start. So I hope some of the resources that I mentioned may help some of you, if some of you are interested in checking out kink and seeing what it's kind of all about. And if you ever have any questions of any kind, please feel free to reach out to me. I am always happy to help point people in the right direction or give out some good resources. Just Real quickly, I once again do have a Patreon. It is patreon.com/sexwitheveryone if you want to support this podcast and everything I'm doing with it. So in 2 weeks, I will be interviewing Stormy in Chico, California, and she has led a really interesting and really rough life. Since she was pretty young, she's been in and out of sex work and been in and out of abusive relationships, and she talks all about it, and she really gets into how those things have affected her and where she's at right now in her life. So anyway, as always, I hope you stay beautiful and stay awesome, friends.